So hi there, this is Mike from Phaser, and this is an extra little video I want to throw in between the Phaser episodes, because otherwise I'm not going to be creating content often enough to keep people interested. I can only do one of these episodes at one per month, I think, and that's if I work hard. So I decided it might be a good idea to have some other videos in between to show the whole process of making these episodes, and also to talk about the process, about the drawing, about the technique, about the learning and development I have artistically in doing this, but also to talk about why I'm doing it, and to talk more about what Phaser actually is. And that can go into very deep stuff, because I don't know if you get it yet. Some people just don't get it. These are not dreams, these are out-of-body experiences, and I'm completely conscious when I'm having these experiences. And I can alter the reality I'm in, which makes it a really exciting and profound experience. And this is what people have difficulty understanding, just how profound it can be. But I'm going to talk about that later, and if you've got any questions on out-of-body experiences, astral travel or lucid dreaming, and about my own experiences, then post them below and I'll answer everything. But let's start with where I'm up to with this second episode. These that I've got in front of me are the first stage, or the second stage actually. The first stage was writing out the text. I have a dream journal, which is not really for just dreams anymore, it's more for these out-of-body experiences. And I note them down so I don't forget them. And the first stage of creating these episodes is to rewrite that out, each experience out, so that I've got a sort of film script, let's say. And then the second stage is to make a storyboard, and that's what this is. This is the storyboard for the second episode. And as you can see, they're just thumbnails, small images where I can get the basic ideas down. Some of these might change when I get down to drawing the main panels, but for now it was just a matter of getting the visuals down in a sort of film sequence. And for this episode I've decided to keep it all in the format, a widescreen format of 16 by 9. And this will give me, for the video production, this will give me then a constant format to work with. The last one, the first one I did, I was all over the place with that. I made lots of different sizes and formats of drawings, and in the end I had to do it all very square, sort of normal TV format, which is 4:3 ratio, I'll say. And but this one I wanted to go widescreen. So it's not a graphic novel as such. I don't have to draw graphic novel panels and devise how those panels are best laid on the page, because this is not going to be printed on a page. This is going straight to video. So this is more in line with a sort of film. So this is then a film storyboard. And as you can see, I don't know whether you can see these better now. A bit of light on there. I've got a good light to draw with, daylight, but for filming it's probably not so good. I've got 4 sheets, not quite full. So I've got around 70 drawings, and what I've done is just run through that whole experience in my head and let the visuals come, and then created a drawing that's a little bit different from what I experienced, because when I experience it I don't see myself. But because I'm the character in this story, I've taken a sort of third-person perspective and played with that. And as you can see, I've got all the different panels running through, all very, very simply drawn and a little bit shaded. Don't spend too much time to do these. That's not the idea. This is the first stage. So all these pictures, they took me about, I was busy with it for a whole day. Although I was working on it the whole day, but I created all these in one day of drawing. The next stage is to work on bigger panels, and I've been doing that this morning. It's now 10 o'clock in the morning. I've been up since 6, and what I've done is, on sort of A3 paper, I've drawn 4 panels with that same ratio of 16:9, and these eventually I'll cut through the middle so I can scan them as A4s. And I'll work on then 4 panels at a time when I come down to actually drawing. So those I'm going to lay here in front of me, because what I need to do before I actually work on any detailed pictures is to transfer these sketches over to these panels. Very rough, and so I should be able to get a lot of these done today as well. It'd be even rougher than the original panels, because then I will work on each panel apart, erasing the parts I don't want, putting detail in, really working the picture until it's finished. So I'm going to start with that anyway. Which pencil? I've got a few pencils here I'm going to use. And, HB. Okay. The HB pencil I can work a lot more sketchy, which is what I want to do. I've been watching a lot of videos on comic book artists, and looking at a lot of pictures of graphic novels, and the artwork in some of them is just amazing. It just blows your mind how good these guys are. But it's really interesting to watch them actually draw, the whole drawing process. And there's one guy, he draws Batman and Superman for Marvel Comics. I mean, this is not going to be Batman or Superman. so I don't need to be as good. But he does live streaming, this guy called Jim Lee, and he does live streaming, and you see him create an image from nothing right to the finished drawing. Of course, then it goes to an inker and a colorist, but you see that whole process, and that is so good for learning. I mean, I can draw pretty well, but I'm not at that stage, no way. And I've still got to learn a lot, so this is good practice. Anyway, let's get on with it. The first 3 panels, I was going to make a list of all the things I wanted to do, which is a sort of bucket list. I don't want to give the story away, but I was going to have this sheet of paper with all these lists of things I wanted to experience, and then I basically roll through them in the sequence. But now I've decided I'm going to change that from a list to a book. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to draw my dream diary as it gets open. And I've got one that's really thick actually, so this is really thick, lots of pages in it. But I want to have this book line there, and it's going to have, you know, bucket list, astral plane bucket list there, and then I'm going to have all these lists of things going down. That's all I need for that one panel. I don't know what I'm going to do on the background, maybe just add some shading there, or the table, or at the corner of, I could put a cup in, or an ashtray. I can have my pen, resting beside it, and maybe put that over there, and just give the impression of an ashtray, a small ashtray as well, because, well, I smoke, for one, and that a couple of the panels are going to have me smoking a cigarette, so I want to sort of give an impression of my writing table. I'm just going to talk. I don't know how interesting this is for people to watch, but I just want to create this ambience for myself, so I can just talk freely and whatever comes to mind. And one of the things that comes to mind now is this drawing technique. I can do this sort of thing all day. Really sketches, and with a nice soft pencil, nothing worked out, nothing fine, and give a good impression. I like doing this, and it's an important part of the process, and I can do it. And what I do, I can hold a pencil like this. This is the way I like to hold a pencil, because then I have control over my whole arm and let it swing. And you sort of feel the forms that you're drawing. This is how you would work on bigger drawings, charcoal drawings and things like this. This is fine. It's when I get down to the fine detail, I tend to have a problem holding my pencil. I've been watching people how they hold their pencils, and I tend to hold it a bit like that or like that, really close to the nib. And that's how I write as well with a pen. I haven't got a pen here, so I can't show you, but that's how I write, and I don't have good handwriting. But what I've found is that if I get too close to the nib, then I do a lot of smudging with my hand. My hand's really got to be full on the page. So I've been trying to teach myself to hold it differently and have more control. But what I find is I jitter a lot. And I don't know, maybe that's my age, maybe that. But it's the only way to get away from smudging is to actually give some more distance between the point, between the drawing and your fingers. And that's really difficult for me, to actually draw like that. But I have to learn it. So this whole project for me is going to be a process in learning to hold pencils as well, which is try and get rid of that jitter. So when you're trying to draw noses or eyes and your fingers go like this, it doesn't really work. Okay, that's that one done. Okay, what am I going to do? I've got 3 panels for that, so I can do a close-up of maybe one of them. So I can just zoom in to different ones there to be able to read them. I can pan. In the video stage, I can zoom into the whatever I write. I can write it on here. Zoom in and pan over to the other page. So that gives me sort of 3 scenes in a way. So I don't have to do anything more than that. Okay, let's move on to what would have been picture number 4. Interesting to try and fill this whole widescreen image. Okay, let's say I'm on the table again. I don't need my head in there, maybe just give an idea of my chin. Depends what I'm going to be wearing. Yeah, okay. My shoulder is going to come in. And I want my hand going there, resting on the table. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. I might actually move that up there a little bit. Because what I want is my hand and my cigarette sitting on the table there. Space with the smoke, really nice. something, because over here I've got my video screen, my laptop. What I'm doing on the laptop is watching a video, so it's going to have this guy here talking. Perspective here, table top over there. See, it's already wrong. I shouldn't be rubbing out at this stage, I just want to that's better. Looks like I've got to decide what clothes I've got to be wearing, because I've got to give them. So this is my face, yeah. Side of my face, my neck, shoulder, and my arm. What might that be there? Let's see. So that's panel 2. The next one is going to be not me, because it's going to be the story this guy on the screen is telling. And here's another phaser actually. This is all a true story. This guy, I can't remember his name off my head right now. But he's experienced things for the last 30 years, 35 years, 40 years maybe, and I've only been doing this for a year and a half, so he's a lot more experienced than me. And he's had some amazing experiences, and he's inspired me with some of the things I want to experience for myself, so this is why I want to use this as part of the story. And this guy, without giving too much away again, this guy has experienced, in a way, higher things, higher dimensions, and this is about him experiencing his multi-dimensional self. Now imagine what that would do. How do you draw the experience of your multi-dimensional self? Okay, what I want here is a sort of impression. Am I on the page here? You can see this. I can't tilt the camera any better than this, so forgive me for that. I'm working with whatever I've got here. So I want to give this idea that this guy is zooming in or zooming away from out his own reality into a multiverse That's basically all I need to do with that one. So he's zooming in and getting smaller as he zooms away from the sort of camera angle, getting sucked into a multiverse, and there's going to be stars and planets and wounds all over the place. Also, he'll be sort of translucent as well, so you don't want to just get all the stars, you can see through him. A planet somewhere. So that's the sort of thing I'm looking for. And then this panel, he's going to be confronted with his multidimensional self, and I think this will be quite funny to look at, certainly funny to draw. So he's sort of floating around in this multiverse. And all around him are copies of himself. This will all be his head. When I draw it, of course, I'll add bits of the shoulders and I'll take some drawing. It has to be a little bit more. I'm not sure about this one yet. Whether to put everything in lines, delicate lines, and keep everything the same size, or make the heads bigger as they get away from him. I've got to work on that one. It's all happening in the void of the multiverse. Okay, that's basically the phase of the stage of the first stage. No, what am I telling you? This is the third stage. The first stage is the writing of the text, or the typing out of the text. Second stage is making the thumbnails. This is the third stage, which is transferring the thumbnail roughs to the main panels. And this is what I'm going to be spending all today doing, getting all these images in rough onto the main panels, and then the foreground. The next stage is to work on each panel individually to create more detail and finish the pictures off. I'm copying Jim Reed's technique in all of this, and this is a good way to work. And I don't feel like doing any detailed drawing today, so it's just going to be fun, just loosely sketching all of these things again. So, let's have a little pause and then I'll get on to the next panel. See, I don't want to, what have we got? Maybe, I don't want to make this video too long, and I certainly don't want to give away all the drawings before the whole project is finished, before the whole episode is finished, because that would be like, you know, showing you all the clips of a film before the film's even out, and I don't want to do that. But I can give certain panels, and you just won't be able to put them all together until the whole thing's finished. So I'll do another panel because I want to talk a little bit more about why I'm doing it. First I'm going to have a little pause. Okay, I'm back. I needed to use the toilet, this quick cigarette, and now let's get back into drawing and continuing with these panels. Okay, and so after watching this guy, or thinking about this guy having his multi-dimensional experience, I decide I want to do that too. So I decided I'm going to draw myself putting out my cigarette, stubbing my cigarette out, as a sort of definitive decision. So this will be sort of like the ashtray, or maybe it needs to be further down actually. Needs to be right down here. So I'll have the ashtray down here. What am I doing? Let's get rid of that. I'll show it around because I'm going to show it putting it out. And my hand, I don't know how to draw this yet. I have to copy my own hand doing this, stubbing a cigarette out. Hand, the thumb, it's not like a thumb. It's all about filling the space up. Oh yeah, of course. See, have these ideas while you're doing it. Stub the cigarette out, and that can go down there a little bit more, down to here. And use the smoke to actually fill the room up. Some shadow. Try and make it more graphic. So I do that, I put my cigarette out, and I go back to my book. And I write the next one. So I've got that one. A whole list of things I want to do, and I've just completed this one to have a multi-dimensional experience or to experience my multidimensional self. And that says it then. That is clearly what I want to do in one of these experiences. And then I go and meditate, or I wait for my next experience, which is all through meditation, or through dreaming. I decided the next, because this one happened through dreaming, then I've actually gone back to my bed. I need to draw my bed, I need to draw my bedroom. Very simple, luckily a very simple room. Try and get some perspective in there. Or piano. I can do. Rub up the floor, like that little thing here for water and books. And then there's a cushion and a cover and an ironing bed. That's basically the layout for this one. And then of course from there it goes to my experience. This is all reality. All the other pictures, this is all based in reality, and then from this one to this one it goes into my experience. And funnily enough, I was watching TV in this one. So again, I don't want to give too much away. So I'll distract you now with a story. The story of what got me into doing all this in the first place. So I've been having these out-of-body experiences since January 2017. I mean, I was interested in it anyway, and I was actually more focused on lucid dreaming. Now, if you don't know what lucid dreaming is, that's dreaming and knowing you're dreaming while you're dreaming. It's an incredible experience, and quite a few people, a lot of children experience this, and I've been doing this lucid dreaming, I've been having them since I was a kid as well, but it's only the last few years that I've been trying to generate them, trying to instigate them. What was the word I'm looking for? Induce them. And there are ways to do that. And I was in good contact with my younger brother because he's interested in all this as well, and he was visiting with me for a little while, and we were talking about this constantly, and he was telling me all the different techniques he'd tried to induce lucid dreams. And then while he was with me, he was looking online to see if he could find some new techniques, and he found this technique for actual full out-of-body experiences, and neither of us had tried this before, so we tried it, and I mean, it worked treat. He had his first experience on the first night, and I had my first experience on the second night. And since then our lives have changed. I mean, there's no going back. This is so mind-blowing to actually experience going out of your body. It is much different than just lucid dreaming. It's much more powerful than that. And you get a completely different perspective on reality, because you can experience another reality as if it's with the same state of mind, same state of consciousness as you experience this reality. But then you know it's not this reality. And then you come back to this reality and you start thinking, well, what is this reality then? Maybe this is a dream too. And we just don't know it. We're just so used to it as being our only reality. We think it's the only real reality. I'll get into this stuff a little bit more later, but this was a profound experience, and it changed the whole idea of what we both wanted to do in our lives. And I carried it on and had maybe 40 different experiences throughout 2017. Absolutely amazing. Some of them were really, really short. Some of them were long enough to be able to turn into stories like these. Now there's a lot of people, I'm not the only one who does this, there's a lot of people who've been doing this for years, and there's a lot of new people who are just discovering it, but in the mainstream, most people don't know anything about it, and they just don't really grasp it. They don't seem to understand what it is. Or is it just a dream then, or what? And you can find online, there's a lot of information online, and there's a lot of people who have these experiences, and they've started up their own websites and YouTube channels to talk about them and to teach people to have these experiences, because there's so many different techniques to get you into them. And I tried that. I thought, I want to go this way. I need to make this my life. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get really good at it. And I'm going to teach people how to have out-of-body experiences, and I'm going to discuss it, and I'm going to be maybe do workshops and things like that. Make it my life. And I tried it. I had a website, not a website, I had a YouTube channel. But I stopped it for a number of reasons. One, not a lot of people were tuning into the channel. Maybe I wasn't doing it good enough. There are some people that can do this a lot better than I can. And I found out I didn't really feel like teaching the techniques, because it's just regurgitating what everybody else is talking about, and there's enough information out there. And I have a different, my own viewpoint actually on what reality is and what these out-of-body experiences are. And I don't agree with what a lot of the people are saying. And I got a little bored with listening to the same stories and the same explanation of what it all is. Because really what I just want to have is... See, a lot of this out-of-body experience is called astral travel, and it's associated with a sort of spiritual outlook on life. And I've had that too. But I want to get away from the spiritual essence, the spiritual perspective, and just have fun and see it as a thing that everybody can do, and just have fun with, because it is, you create realities and you can create experiences in them, and that is the message I wanted to get across. And it wasn't working with the YouTube channel that I had. And then I, through another line of thought from a nephew of mine, actually, who's coming to visit, who's into gaming and into drawing manga. And I thought, it'd be really interesting if he liked my stories, maybe he could draw a manga comic. And then it clicked with me, and I thought, hey, I can do that myself. I mean, I used to illustrate children's books and got out of that because I was fed up with drawing things for children. But so I know I can draw, so I thought I can draw my own experiences. Nobody's doing that. People are talking about it online, but nobody's actually drawing it. And you can't take a video camera or a still camera to the astral plane, come back and show people where you've been. So the next best thing is drawing. And I thought, well, yeah, this got to be like a graphic novel or a comic, but then not in print, on video. And that's when I got the idea to do this project for myself. And because nobody else, I mean, there's lots of graphic novels created on video, but none of them with true stories of alternate realities. So I've found something pretty unique, and I think this is the best way to get over the experience of what how these out-of-body sessions are like, and try to get a wider audience interested in doing this. I mean, at the moment, the audience that's interested, besides the young kids who just want to have astral sex, there's most of the audience are into the spiritual take on things, and that's too limited. But the mainstream people, most people in the mainstream, a wider audience, don't know about this stuff. And really, I was thinking, for gamers or people interested in virtual realities, this is the ultimate virtual reality experience. And you don't need any technology to do it. So that's the audience I want to stretch towards, and I think the best way to do that is to let them see it in the form of a sort of drawn movie. So that's why I'm doing this, to actually to get that message over, to get these stories out in the best way possible. If anybody wants any techniques, then there's plenty of people giving techniques online. You just type it up on Google or on YouTube, and you'll get hundreds of videos on how to have out-of-body experiences. And a few people are telling their stories, but not many people are actually telling the stories of the experiences they've had. And so that's why I want to focus on doing that. It's strange, drawing and talking at the same time. It's like using two different parts of your brain, or your consciousness, I would say. One's focusing on the drawing, which is quiet, while the other part of me is thinking about what I want to say and talking to you. Okay, let's back to the drawing. So I've been watching this TV, and there was something on the TV, I won't tell you what it was, but it was quite interesting. This is in the experience, eh? I'm in the experience, I find myself in a room watching TV, and then I get pulled into what's on the TV because it's quite fascinating. So I lean forward and I a lot of this experience took place in a darkened atmosphere, darkened rooms, darkened locations. Kind of interesting. So I'm going to have a lot of light and shadow play in this one, which is great. Draw another figure here. This is the easy part, really is. I just hope I can manage to convey what I see in my head. Like I said a few minutes ago, I used to do illustrate children's books. It wasn't a full-time job, I just did on the side. And I thought about doing that professionally and full-time, but I got bored with it. I got bored with drawing children's stories. My own kid was all grown up and living an adult life, and I'm still involved with children. I didn't want to do that, so I stopped doing it anyway, and there wasn't a lot of money in it. So it's really interesting, and since then, it's about 5 years ago I stopped, and I haven't drawn since, and it's quite interesting for me to get back into drawing, and in a way I have to relearn to draw. You know, before I started the first episode of this, I spent a couple of weeks just sketching, just getting the feeling of a pencil in my hand again, and drawing people over and over and over again. And because this is not children's books, I want a little bit more realism in this, so I've got to get really good at drawing people. And I'm not there yet. But this is also a reason I enjoy doing this project, because it helps me to learn to draw while I'm actually producing something. So I'm not sketching to be able to produce something, I'm producing something, and that's given me the experience which will improve my drawing. And if I do one of these every month like I've planned to do, then you'll see how I evolve. And not just in my drawing technique, but in my style as well. Because I want to find I want to find my own style. I also want to use it as a chance to actually, explore the styles of other people. Do I want to go graphic, or do I want to go ultra realism, or do I want to match all the best comic artists so I could draw superheroes and things, or do I want to keep it more impressionistic and artistic? All those things I'm going to find out while I'm doing these projects. Okay, where am I up to? I wonder if I'll get all these finished today. It's a long day anyway. I'm gonna stop here, because if I start drawing more of what's on this page, it'll give a little bit too much away of the story, especially this next panel. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to let it all out. Before it's finished. I want it to be a surprise at least. But I'll make another in-between video in a week or so. And when I get on to reworking these images and finishing them off, doing them in more detail, because these are just the sketches. When I start working on these to create the finished images, I'll do some more filming and talking, and then you can see the process from blank paper to finished drawing. In the first episode I worked like this, but then I inked over the top of them, and then with lines, sort of lining it with ink, and then shading it with different tones of ink. I'm not going to do that with this one. I want to keep this one just pencil and see how much atmosphere and mood I can get in just with working with pencil, because I'm not an experienced inker, and I want to try something new, something different. So in the next video you'll be able to see how I work on these images to really complete them ready for scanning, and I'll talk a little bit more about out-of-body experiences and consciousness and reality and drawing and graphic novels and all that sort of stuff. So I'll leave you with that now. Hope you enjoyed it. A little peek into a preview of the next episode to keep you interested before it comes out, which will hopefully be by the end of this month, May, if I work hard, which I'm going to do. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.